Hello, snacks. Welcome back. My name, of course, is Jack. Today, I thought I'd treat you all to a bunch of stories to make you think this world is terrible to exist in. Let's go! We begin with the humorous tale of a scummy cheater dealing with the consequences of trying to recruit others for his crusade. Am I the a-hole for leaving photographic evidence of my husband cheating somewhere his parents should not have looked? I, female 30, kicked my husband, 28, out of my house. It was my house prior to us getting married, and it remains my house now. I knew when I married him that he was bi. I was okay with it as long as he understood that we were monogamous. I said that I would never agree to an open relationship, and if that was what he wanted, he needed to be with someone else. He agreed and said that I was the person he wanted to be with and that I was more than enough to satisfy him. Well, he lied. I found out he was having an affair with a man. I went through his iPad and took all the pictures for myself. It was graphic, in a Mapplethorpe kind of way. What the hell is Mapplethorpe? Well, it's a style of photography. American photographer. I'm guessing it's just a lot of this sort of grayscale, artsy, erotic imagery. When I confronted him, he became physically aggressive. I was scared. He calmed down when I got Siri to call 911. He left. So anyway, I did not want him in my house ever again. When he wanted his things, I asked him to make a list and send it to me. I found every single thing on the list. I asked him where to send the box. He said he would pick it up. I told him that I would not let him set foot in my house and that I would call the cops if he tried. He said he would send his friends to get his stuff. I said I would leave his box of stuff with the front desk at my work. He didn't want to make them drive into the city. So we compromised and I agreed to give his parents a temporary code for my house. They are lovely people and I trusted them. I could see everything on my security system and I would know if he tried getting into my house. The deal was that they would use the code, get the box from the front entrance, then close and lock the door. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Instead, it went difficult lemon fricked. I guess he didn't have everything on his list. He asked them to get something from my bedroom. Not the deal at all. I had my pictures of his infidelity in my room in my chest of drawers, in an envelope. So to reiterate, to find these pictures, his mum had to go past our agreed limit into my house. She then had to enter my bedroom, open my chest of drawers, open an envelope, and look at what was inside. I felt violated watching the video. Then I giggled like a little kid. It was hilarious. I see them come into the house. They use the code and open the door. His dad comes in and grabs the box. He goes back to their vehicle with the box. His mom hesitates before walking into my house and going to my room. She goes to my chest and opens the top drawer where we kept a box full of jewelry. She sees an envelope with his name on it. She looks around. I'm not sure why. Then she looks at the contents. She screams, I assume, since I have my feed on video only. Then she stuffs the pictures back in the closet of the drawer and goes running for the truck. My father-in-law comes to the door, locks it, and leaves. I guess he never told his parents about his proclivities. To say that this has created a problem for him is to take it lightly. I get a call from him. He says I left the pictures out for his parents to find. I did not. I should have scattered them on top of the box his parents picked up, but that felt cruel and unnecessary. Like I said, I have always found them to be lovely people. I told him where the pictures were. He said that he forgot about a ring he left on the list and that he told his mom where it should be. I said I would have tossed it in the box if he told me, but he said he forgot until they were on their way. See, he is upset that his parents know now that he is a power bottom. He is not happy at their house now and he is going to find somewhere else to stay. He said, I'm an a-hole for causing this problem. But I think there are other candidates for that a-hole-hood. Him for cheating, him for getting his parents to go against our agreement, his mum for going against our agreement, his mum for snooping, and his parents for homophobia. Yes, one of those rare stories of terrible people where it is definitely not the OP. I mean, how strange of the mother to snoop too, because unless... she was told to find a ring apparently, but she finds an envelope instead and decides to open it? Good thing she isn't a cat, otherwise she definitely would have been killed for that. And just in case you find joy in hearing this, as people hope the pictures were as graphic as OP says, oh, they were anatomical in detail. Now that said, I don't think the parents are total a-holes because they did at least apologize for their snooping, so take that how you will. In this post, an innocent daughter finds out her mum was patient zero of Mean Girls. I just found out how my mom and dad got together. So when as a 15-year-old female, my mom is drunk, she likes to talk about the past, namely her high school years and how she was one of the most beautiful cheerleaders in school. But last night was different. She told me about the way she and dad first got together. Dad wasn't home when it happened, though. She said she asked one of her friends to date and then break up with him first. When I asked her why she did that, she said,
"The best way to win a boy's heart is to have another girl break it, so you can put the pieces back together for him."
And she advised me to do the same to my crush. This morning, when she woke up, I told her what she said, and my mom confirmed it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to take her advice. I won't do the same thing to my crush. I mean, that's messed up. But how do I process all this? Now I know I shouldn't take dating advice from my mom, but how do I handle what I learned about the way she and my dad started dating? Well, now this is the perfect opportunity to build a time machine. Not only do you get to make an excuse to eradicate yourself from having to deal with this existence, but you get to disguise it under the facade of you just trying to do the right thing and save this man from psychological warfare. Best of both worlds. Now, I don't know about your opinion, but people do bring up the fact that, look, to really summarize all this, your parents are still together since high school. Like, at this point, what your mother did is really not a big deal. At least not enough for you to need to drop some truth to your father about it. Because it's not like she used him for his attention and then dumped his ass after a few weeks of enjoying him when he was really shattered and desperate for affection. She literally did the equivalent of sending your friend into a job interview to be a terrible candidate so you come across as a better option. That's... I mean... I gotta respect the craft a bit. Like, I feel it's that same sort of teetering on the edge of like a guy getting some strangers to harass a woman so he can come across as a big, strong hero and save her and look really tough and attractive at the same time. Like she wasn't actually in any real danger, but she felt like she was, and he created this manipulated situation so he'd come across as a really good opportunity. I don't know, does that seem like a fair comparison, or would you say it's not exactly the same thing? Again, based on the understanding that when it comes down to it, the dad here wasn't in any real danger or wasn't being used by anyone. It's an interesting little social science thought experiment, I feel, this circumstance. On to what I'm all for being a crime one day. My boyfriend found AI adult content of me. Last night, when I, 28 female, went to visit my boyfriend Roger, who's 35 male, I immediately knew something was off. He was quiet and distant the whole ride over to his place, and then right when we got there, he acted like he was gonna go to sleep and then just played on his phone. I knew he was in one of his moods, and I hate when he gets like that because it takes forever to pry out of him what he's upset about. Wait, and this guy's 35? Okay, that's, are you sure he's 3 decades old? But I finally managed to get the answer after about an hour of silent treatment. He claimed he had found adult content of me and exploded on me for lying to him about who I am. He called me disgusting, trash, and a whore. I repeatedly told him that I never have and never would partake in anything like that, and that it must be AI. He refused to believe me and continued to call me a liar and a whore. He went on a whole rant about how I deceived him, how I should have been upfront about it, and how fake I am. He claimed he acquired the videos from someone who was very close to me. He also claimed that he knew it all along and that he had been seeing evidence of it. The so-called evidence was hearsay from people around town spewing bullshit gossip. So I pressed him for the identity of the person who sent him the videos, and he refused. I asked him to show me the videos in question, and he also refused. He then went on a spiel about how he forgives me, to which I repeatedly insisted that there was nothing to forgive as I haven't done anything wrong. But after lots of back and forth of all this, I flat out told him that this was the worst thing he's ever done to me, that he betrayed me on an immeasurable level, and that I don't think I can forgive him. But once I said this, he immediately started trying to backpedal. He started claiming he didn't believe the gossip about me after all, and tried to profusely apologize and repeatedly tell me he loves me. I asked him how he expects me to believe that after all that, he just puts me through. He continued the same repetitive attempts at apologizing and telling me he loves me. Aw, how convenient. Notice the complete 180 to his character when she isn't immediately groveling to him. It's almost as if that's the only reason he was getting upset, to have some sort of win over her instead of actually expressing his, legitimate feelings of betrayal. Probably because he didn't actually have any. I started giving him the cold shoulder and got up to go play with his cats instead. After about half an hour of this, he started to have a complete breakdown. He sobbed sobbed continually and started to repeatedly try to touch and kiss me. I flinched every time he did and kept trying to ignore him in favor of the cats. After an hour or two of this, he started falling asleep. As much as I didn't want to sleep at his place after all this, I ended up falling asleep anyway myself. I woke up after, I think, 3 or 4 hours. He was awake and seemingly already had been for a while and went back to trying to touch me and talk to me. I played on my phone and gave him one-word responses to everything he said. After another couple hours of this, I told him to just take me home. He drove like a maniac the whole ride to my place and knocked over my neighbor's trash can when we got to my street. As soon as we parked, he immediately went back to the ad nauseum apology attempts. I gathered up my bags and tried to get out of the car. He asked me if he could talk to me inside for a few minutes. I said no, because my roommate might be home and I don't want her hearing our personal business. He then asked if we could drive somewhere to talk, and I told him no way was I going to let him make me late for work. I said that if he really wanted to say anything he hadn't already said, just say it here in the car and get it all out in 5 minutes tops. He did repeat a lot of the same stuff, but he threw some new things into the mix too. He claimed that he got so upset because he loved me so much, tried to swear up and down that he no longer believed the gossip about me or that the poon was real, and told me that he'll never find anyone like me again. I told him I still don't know if I can forgive him. He asked me if he could at least walk me up to my door, and I told him I didn't think that was a good idea right now. He started to break down again. It had been close to 10 minutes by this point. I reiterated that I already needed to get inside and get ready for work. I got out of the car and started walking up to my door, and he tried to follow me. I quickened my pace and he backed off. I got inside and got into the bath to freshen up before work. During this time, I tried to figure out who could have it out for me enough to create this AI content of me and send it to Roger. And I came up with a suspect. A guy from my church, Jack. Oh, come on, man. 39 male. Jack has had an unrequited crush on me for about 4 years now. I initially thought he was annoying, but relatively harmless. He never went so far as to harass me, just repeatedly tried to ask me to be his girlfriend. I repeatedly rebuffed his advances, initially politely, but as he persisted, I got more and more blunt until last summer when I really put my foot down to him enough for him to finally seemingly back off. I suspect Jack for a few reasons. Now, the first being, he's admitted to having this sort of addiction before, and the second being, he's extremely tech savvy. He does freelance IT work. Maybe those two factors only seem like a coincidence, but I always remembered that a while back I had heard whisperings about Jack having harassment charges brought against him by a girl at his old church. At the time, I brushed this off as a rumor, since, like I said earlier, bullshit gossip is no short supply in our town. But now, I'm wondering if there may have been some truth to it after all, and have seriously started questioning what Jack might actually be capable of. He has been more passive-aggressive lately, making remarks about wishing he had a girlfriend and how lonely he is. He even went on a whole rant recently about how nobody ever wants to hang out with him. And that's why energy vampires are the true psychics, because their prophecies always come true. As for Roger, I found emotionally charged voice texts from him after I got off work tonight that altogether were almost 20 minutes. That could basically be summed as the following. More repetitions of sorries, I love yous and variations, regurgitating the I got so upset because I love you so much excuse, regurgitating the I know I'll never find anyone like you sentiment, talking about feeling sick, wanting to puke, having a headache, etc., saying he doesn't want to live without me, offering to try to make it up for it by buying me pizza, verbally beating himself up, saying that he deserves to have me abuse him, that he's an over-emotional bitch with a small wee-wee, that sort of stuff, wanting to buy me stuffed toys he saw at the dollar store. I'm special, one of a kind, not like normal women. I left him on red. So an extremely uncomfortable situation. Until the sort of AI content is given a bit more lawful punishment, you can't really go to anyone about it, can you? Well, as some people bring up, there is the whole issue of reporting deepfake poon. You can at least have it as a report, with these comments suggesting you use this as a way to hopefully get the boyfriend to say who sent him the stuff, or at least where he found it, because it is so strange, isn't it? That when a man finds content online of their partner, and him now seemingly believing her when she says that she didn't create that content herself and someone is sending and creating this invasive material, you'd think he'd be fully on her side and helping her catch this guy. Give him a bit of the left-right good night, you know? So that's a left hook, right hook, and headbutt for those not Australian. But before we suspect that it was actually the boyfriend all along who's been creating this content, Opie merely edits to add he admitted it. Which I'm assuming that's regarding Jack with her suspicions, but also considering the last person she spoke about was Roger, maybe it was Roger who actually had the fake content made himself? Oh, but folks, in a day later, turns out we get an update. Both those previous theories are entirely wrong. It's even more pathetic than you thought. So here OP is basically sharing screenshots of his texts. As you can see, he admits that he was testing me and that there never was any videos at all. My glass half full reaction is to be relieved that this AI content of me isn't out there, but what he did is immeasurably messed up. Incredible work. This guy literally caused the possibility of some guy at her local church being absolutely vilified and falsely accused of something so gross and obscene, all just to test his partner. The very thing that I personally see online a lot of guys hating women doing. The whole Schmidt test and all that. I mean, even here in this moment, acting like as if it's actually still true. I will no longer believe anything I hear or see. I promise I will always believe you, and I do believe you. It gives so much explanation as to why he was suddenly backpedaling with apologies the moment she actually put her foot down and said, hey, this is horrifying, and I don't like that you are not at all considering the fact that I didn't consent to this content being put online, let alone it actually being fake stuff. I mean, the fact it was AI too would mean that anyone who had photos of her could have uploaded and created it. But of course, if he acknowledged that, he'd have to admit that technically he has no grounds to be angry at her. Oh, but folks, that's not even the worst of it. If faking the existence of AI Coon isn't bad enough, he apparently told her that he gave Opie's mom a cell phone tracking app. I just wanted to see your reaction, and I never saw you in any video, and there's the admission. I just threw that out there to see what you would say or how you would react, because I had my suspensions, which are completely unfounded. I just wanted to see if I could get you to admit anything, and even if you did, which I know you did not, I just needed to know the truth. But you knew the truth. Well, he didn't, because he was caught up with too much delusions and watching TikToks where women are cheaters and proud of it, and he immediately assumes, well, my partner has boobs like that person, so they must be the exact same thing. Oh, I just thought you had been deceiving me the whole time. The only thing that was true was what this person said to me, and she made that up since you are telling me the truth. I just thought you were deceiving and lying to me the whole time. I am sorry I ever thought you were a liar. But hey, folks, if you can't get logic to people persuaded to turn to your side, resort to religious doctrine. But what is true is the dream I had about you, which I am sure are just demons trying to get me separated from you. And that dream and what I saw in it, which is not true, really upset me and made me extremely saddened, and all the way down to my soul. In that dream, I felt betrayed. But I do believe that none of that happened. Okay, I believe you. I just want to hold you again. I can't make it without you, even if I never get to touch you again. I just need to be around you and at least look at you. Would you let me buy you one of those talking bears from the dollar store I saw? It seems the religious, spiritual BS didn't work. Let's try the guilt tripping one more time. Imply that something really bad will happen to you if you don't, OP doesn't actually stick by him. But you keep sprinkling some of the God in there. Yeah, this is what God wanted. God wanted you to be stressed out and feel betrayed by your boyfriend. This wasn't the boyfriend testing you, it was God. It was God all along, folks. I promise that I will never ever get that upset or crazy again, I promise. That is never true. But also, props to the only message here the OP actually responds to. You can give me the middle finger, I totally deserve it. Am I the a-hole for maintaining a relationship with my son's ex-fiance? I'm 48 female and I have a son who's 20 male who is currently upset at me over having flown out his former ex-fiance for Easter. To give some context, they started dating while my son was attending military school in a different state. She's based in Colorado, my son and I live in MA. They dated for 6 months and decided to get engaged. His ex, we'll call her B, does not have a good relationship with her parents. When they got engaged, my son expressed to me that he was positive in wanting to marry her, that she was his one and only, and he'd spend the rest of his life with her and never get a divorce. Well, even though they were both young, I respected their passion and gave them my blessing. Since B doesn't have a good relationship with her mother, I agreed to fill that role for her. Be a strong, positive woman role model that says they care and stick around. I believe God put her in my life for this reason. Unfortunately, when their training came to an end, B went back to Colorado and my son came back to MA. They were long distance for a while and something happened. B slept with someone else. They had been dating for roughly 7 months by that point, and my son decided he didn't want to be with her anymore, which I respected. B was heartbroken Then, not having any good guidance in her life, she made the terrible mistake of lying about being pregnant in hopes my son would stay. It didn't work. She ended up going back and forth between saying she was pregnant and having lost the baby and then being pregnant again. My son was very upset about this. I tried to explain to him that being upset about the lie was okay, but still be understanding considering her circumstances. He became distant to me. He's been sleeping over at this friend's house without telling me prior, even though we have strict rules of him needing to let me know. Especially considering that this friend is a girl. He tells me that she's gay and they're simply friends, but I call out on that considering he's refusing to introduce her to me, which hurts my feelings a lot, and he knows this. Now things escalated when I flew B out for this last Easter. Her and I got very close these last few months, and she asked me to be her mother. Well, she's not perfect, but she's a good girl who's been through a lot. I make sure not to talk about my son and not to involve him at all. B and I had been doing weekly FaceTime calls, and she expressed to me that she would love to see me for Easter. We had never seen each other in person before, so I was excited. Hold up, this younger woman who OP has decided to be the mother for, all this excusing and praise that OP is giving her, she's never actually met her in real life. Ma'am, I don't think God gave you this woman to take care of her. I think God gave you this woman for you to learn to stop being so damn forgiving. We're doing this especially since she doesn't have a lot of family to celebrate this special holiday with, so I decided to fly her out. But my son got incredibly upset, and B and I ended up having to celebrate in her hotel room. It was altogether a disappointing experience. My son has gotten very cold towards me, and it breaks my heart. I sent him a text explaining my feelings, but he refuses to talk. Oh, of course, the moment this mother does something wrong, she makes it all about how she feels, rather than what she's done. I mean, no surprise at all that this is how your son is reacting. Prioritizing a cheater and liar over you, her own son? I mean, this great point here. The pattern here is you're making this all about you and your relationship with B, instead of understanding that your son is struggling with, I assume, his first real heartbreak as an adult. It's wild that you're devoting so much time and energy to someone you've never even met in person. Either way, congratulations on your one-way tickets to a retirement home. Anyway, friends, might end it there today. Thank you as always for watching. Love your face, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.